Professor late S.K. Dutta with great respect. May I now request Professor Jiten Hazarika to share a few words and formally inaugurate this lecture series.
Thank you.
Professor Hazarika,
Thank you,
sir.
Professor Kalpana Dekakolita. So, good afternoon to all.
Good afternoon.
Professor Ashok Sahni, renowned scientist and senior most person, I think, in this group. And Dr. Sudhir Shukla, Vice President, Paleontological Society of India. Professor M.N. Dutta, Dean, Art Science and Energy. Professor Diganta Bhuya, Head of the Department of Applied Geology, Dibrugarh University. Professor Kalpana Dekakolita and other faculty members who are present in this webinar. Co-conveners, members of the organizing committee, student coordinators, and my dear participants. Actually, I am happy to inaugurate this lecture series as a part of Azadi Ka Mahotsav. Also, I am happy to inaugurate this lecture series in presence of person like Professor Ashok Sahni as a resource person of this program. This lecture series of first lecture. Actually, I am not a man of applied geology or geography. I am from the Department of Statistics, basically. Our Department of Applied Geology was established in the 1970. The Department of Applied Geology is a pioneer department in the entire Northeast dedicated to the development of human resources in the field of geosciences, especially for oil industries for the last 50 years. Presently, the department is going to organize a webinar. I think it is a series 1. So, Fossil for Society, Exploring the Past for Future. Actually, National Education Policy also suggested to explore the past. For example, our cultural heritage and our cultural, our science like Aryabhatta, Brahmir, why that persons are at present also important, and their study of their invention and their different fields are why important that things are included in national education policy also. From that point of view, this actually topic is a right choice by the Department of Statistics and Paleontological Society of India. Paleontological resources or fossils are any evidence of past life preserved in geologic context. It is from my school life only. There are tangible connection to life, landscapes, and climates of the past. They show us how life, landscapes, and climate have changed over time and how living things respond to those changes. Those lessons are particularly important as modern climate continues to change. Actually, in our time, I don't know at the present situation, the fossils are broadly divided into two categories. Body fossils and trace fossils. Body fossils are any parts of the actual living thing, bones, teeth, insect bodies, cells, feathers, leaves, fruits, flowers, nuts, etc. On the other hand, trace fossils are print of evidence of living things, interaction with environment without any part of the actual organism, footprints, trackways, swim traces, root traces, etc., etc. As pieces of once living things, body fossils are evidence of what was living where and when. Trace fossils are valuable because they animate the ancient animals or plants by recording a moment of an organism's life when it was still alive. Identification and classification of body or trace fossil provides a list of ancient plants and animals that lived in a particular place. But without studying the geologic context, such as precise location, type of rock, specific layer, orientation, and other fossils found nearby, there is no story to go along with the remains. Once a fossil is removed from the ground, it cannot be put back. So, paleontologists strive to record as much information as possible regarding the context of each fossil. Without such detailed context information, our knowledge of ancient life and landscapes would be greatly reduced, and precise connection between parks and other fossil sites would be much more difficult. So why I think this webinar is an important one. From this webinar, our participants will be benefited, and I hope it will be a grand success one. With these words, I declare that this series of lecture is inaugurated. Thank you for giving me opportunity by the Applied Geology Department of our family. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Hazarika, for your kind words. Now we are moving on to the lecture. We welcome Professor Sahni sir, and I know Professor Sahni sir doesn't need any introduction to the other people here. So I invite Professor Sahni sir to deliver his lecture.
Thank you very much, Professor Hazarika, Vice Chancellor. Thank you, Ratna, and everyone who has invited me for this International Fossil Day talk. It's really a pleasure for me to interact with you. I will try and put my, should I do a window or should I do the entire screen?
As you like, sir.
I don't know what's going to, let me try a window.
Or better to share the entire screen.
Yeah, so, so actually, the topic of my, can you see this? Can you
Yes.
hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, this is
actually,
very good.
I've chosen this topic, Indian fossils, their beauty and value. So as you can see, most of the fossils that I'll be talking about, they are found in India. And beauty, of course, is there because it has value. So this is a specimen, as you can see, of a lobster from Rajasthan, which is about 45 million years old. 45 million years old. So you can see it's very well preserved. I know that those who live in the northeast and those who live in the east are familiar with these kind of organisms. Just look at how beautifully it is preserved. You can see not only the preservation, but from the fossil, you can learn a lot about the rock. If you look at the rock, you'll see it is muddy, just like you have sediments in a lake. So this is a fossil that lived in a lake in Rajasthan nearly 45 billion years ago. So as you can see, it is really very special. And there are many such fossils, and that is why paleontology is such an interesting topic. Just to start, for students, what are fossils? So fossils are the remains of past organisms or of their activity. So let me first discuss the remains of organisms. Here we have two fishes. The large fish is eating a small fish. So this is a rare fossil, because usually you do not get this kind of relationship. But while the big fish was eating the small fish, it both died and they were preserved. This is a fossil from India. This is from Gujarat. It's about 52 billion years old. You can see how beautifully it is preserved. This is an insect preserved in amber. Each antenna segment is so beautifully preserved. You can even see the small hairs coming out. So
Sir,
these
excuse
kind of
me,
fossils,
slide is not changed. Sunny sir, excuse
yeah,
me, slides are not changed.
not changed.
Yeah.
I've changed them here, so let me see. But
Actually, we are looking at the first slide itself.
Sir, you can put the
now,
presentation on presentation mode. That will
now,
solve the issue.
I think, sir, if you can put in the presentation mode, that will be much better.
oh, okay. Let me see. Can you see this second one now?
Yeah, this is visible. This is visible.
Second one.
Yeah.
So I was talking to you about fossils, okay? So I was telling you that fossils are the remains of past life. Here we have two fishes, the big fish eating the small fish. And while the big fish was eating the small fish, they died and they were preserved. The second is something from India, and that is an insect preserved in amber, resin. This is about 52 million years old, from Gujarat. So fossils are the remains of past organisms or of their activity. This is a very interesting footprints of a dinosaur couple, two dinosaurs walking side by side. Usually in films, you see that the dinosaurs are always quarreling amongst each other. That is the wrong impression. Here you can see that there are two dinosaurs. This is one dinosaur, the footprints of one dinosaur, and here are the footprints of the other dinosaurs. And they're walking side by side, as couples do, along a lake. And you can see that here, the right dinosaur has pushed the left dinosaur so that it is out of step. So you can find a number of things. You can even calculate the weights of dinosaurs by looking at the footprints and seeing how much impression the foot has made. So you can get a lot of information. Firstly, you can get information of how they lived, behavior. You can see, as I said, that usually people depict dinosaurs as very ferocious reptiles, but you have other evidences that show you that they were not always like that. Now, in India, I'm going to be talking about three things that my research has been involved in. One are dinosaur eggs. The second is the life when India was drifting from Madagascar to Asia. And the third is the evolution of whales, something that is very special to India. So let us start with dinosaur eggs. Here, as you know, that this is a village lady in Rauli village, and she has a dinosaur egg. She doesn't know it's a dinosaur egg, but she knows that it is a rounded object, and she is doing some ritual, doing some prayers using the dinosaur egg. So in India, sometimes people don't know the value of what they've got. So India is very special as far as dinosaur eggs are concerned, because if you look at the map of India, you'll see that not only do you find individual eggs, but you find nests. You find nests. See, this is a nest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. About 10 eggs. So right from Kutch, all across peninsular India, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, or Telangana. Even there's a single egg from Tamil Nadu. And there are eggs also known from Pakistan. One, I think, from here, from Balochistan. So this is a very special type of fossil because eggs are very rare. And India can boast of the fact that you have so many nests of dinosaurs in the Cretaceous, a time when the dinosaurs were coming to the end, and they're spread all over. So it is possible to study a lot about eggs and the reproduction of large reptiles. So if you look at this is a close-up of the egg. See, they are beautifully preserved. This is in a national park in Balasinor, in Gujarat again. You can see very clearly how the eggs are preserved. Now, I'll show you what we have done in order to find out what kind of dinosaur made these eggs. You have to study the shell. So this is even a more magnified view of a single egg. This is the shell. Those who eat eggs are familiar with what an eggshell looks like. But the eggshell is a very important component in life of any reptile or any bird. And birds and dinosaurs have a very close relationship. So if you study the present day eggs of birds, you will have a very good idea of the anatomy and the physiology of dinosaur eggs. Let me tell you that if you make a section, if you cut a thin section of a shell like this is what you see. Shells are made of calcite, calcium carbonate. And you can see this is the area where the embryo was. This is the outside area. You can see that these are very robust structures so that they will not squash easily. And then you will also see that in the shell, from place to place, you have these canals. So this is the external side of the egg, and this is where the baby used to live, the hatchling. You will see that you have these air canals, because for the baby to live inside the egg, it needs air, it needs food, it needs air. And you have these air canals. I'll show you more of these air canals that help the baby to breathe. So here we have a picture. I'll try and show you. So this is the shell. This is a small baby growing up. It's an embryo. And you have these air canals. So you have air canals going across so that the baby can get oxygen. That's very important. And if you cut a section of the shell, you will see the air canals from the top. So this is the air canal here, rounded structure. Another air canal, another air canal. So this is just to emphasize the fact that when you look at dinosaurs, you should treat them scientifically and see how similar they are to other reptiles like crocodiles, lizards, and birds. So here's a picture of a small baby that has broken the shell and come out. It's very interesting to know how this happens. So what actually happens is that when the baby grows, the embryo needs calcium to build its bones. And where does it get the calcium? It sends some enzymes to the internal side of the shell. So what actually happens is that it draws calcium from the inner side of the shell, and so the bones become larger and bigger. But another thing happens. And what actually happens, that the shell becomes weaker. The shell becomes weaker because the internal side is partly dissolved. So just look at the lovely system that there is that allows the baby to grow and the shell to become weaker. So at some point of time, when the embryo grows to full size, it is strong enough to break the shell. Otherwise, it will not be able to break the shell. So this is one of the miracles of nature that allow embryos to grow and break shells. So you have different type of shells. The eggs that I showed you were those of plant-eating dinosaurs. But you have in India, this is called Rajasaurus narbadensis. You have large dinosaurs as well, and their eggs are slightly different. You may have noticed that in the other dinosaurs that I just showed you, the eggs were spherical. Here they are oval. In fact, there's a very interesting story about how when the scientists went to the house of a villager, they found the lady using the egg as a batta. I don't know what silbatta is called in Assamese, but silbatta is a stone on which spices are ground. So this lady didn't know she was using an egg, but she was using this egg as a batta over the to make a masala of a spices. So again, as I said, people don't know, but since the size was right, and this is a very, it's become petrified, become like stone. It's a very good batta. So there are many ways in which people use these fossils without knowing the true value. But the story of dinosaur goes back to 1828, long time ago. And this is a general in the East India Company who found the first dinosaurs in Jabalpur. In fact, he was a very, he loved India, and he was a very good man, very scientifically oriented. And in the end, they honored him. The people in those days, they honored him by making a small town with his name. This town, which is north of Jabalpur, this is Jabalpur, it's called Salimabad, after Sleeman. But his main contribution was that he found the oldest record of dinosaurs. And dinosaurs are also, they are found nearly in the same place. There are two exceptions. They are found also in Meghalaya, and they are found again in Pakistan. So here you have the distribution of dinosaurs. The earlier graphic that I showed you was the distribution of eggs. So this is really interesting that this was about the first description of dinosaurs anywhere in Asia. This is something that we have done. If ever you go to Chandigarh, with colleagues, we have built a life size. This is a life size model of what a living dinosaur would look like, the insides. So this is 1 meter. So this is about 3 or 4 meters, and 9 or 10 meters. It is fixed on a wall. So you can make out, people always look at, as I said, dinosaurs as very fierce animals, but scientists should look at dinosaurs just like any other reptiles. They had an esophagus, shoulder blades, skeletons, the usual organs that all reptiles have. So this is a exhibit in one of the museums, the government museum in Chandigarh. Now, India, as I said, there are 2 places where dinosaurs are mounted in India. Very few people know about this, and that is why it's very important for me to tell you about this. This is a fully mounted skeleton of dinosaur. Now it has a new home. It's found it is now displayed in the Indian Statistical Institute. Professor Hazarika would be interested that you have a dinosaur in the Indian Statistical Institute. That is because the director of the Indian Statistical Institute at that time, Professor Mahalanobis, wanted statistics to be a part of all sciences. And therefore, he opened a department of geology, and the paleontologists in the ISI, the Indian Statistical Institute, they found this and mounted this large dinosaur. You can see this is a fan. So you can see how large it is, how big it is. And so it is called Barapasaurus tagorai. Bara paw, bade paw wala. That means large-footed dinosaur. So this is the interesting story. You have another dinosaur. There are only 2 mounted dinosaurs that are found in India. This is in Hyderabad. From the Birla Science Center in Hyderabad, you can see that it is also mounted. The one important way in which you get dinosaurs, it's very difficult to make skeletons, to find skeletons. Usually what happens when you excavate an area, you will find isolated bones. And in order to reconstruct something like a dinosaur, in this case Rajasaurus, you first have to identify the bones that belong to this. And there are other bones too of other dinosaurs. So here is an actual picture of an excavation in India that took place in 1983. And you can see that you find an assortment of bones. The ones in yellow belong to this Rajasaurus. And so it's been it's been possible to reconstruct partly the skull and partly the skeleton of Rajasaurus. This is what Rajasaurus looked like. It had a huge, very fierce looking skull, head, and this was its favorite prey, which was something called Titanosaurus or Janosaurus or Ichthyosaurus. So this is a plant-eating dinosaur, and these are meat-eating dinosaurs. Now, everyone is interested in the fact that how did dinosaurs die? So basically, there are 2 theories. One is that there was an asteroid or meteorite impact here that is between North America and South America, in a place in Mexico, which is somewhere here. As you can see, this large, and you have evidences of this asteroid in various places. So in 1980, a Nobel Prize winner, Professor Alvarez, said that if you look at the time when dinosaurs just died, you will find a level which has a lot of iridium. Iridium, as you know, is a element which is rare on Earth, but which is very common in extraterrestrial bodies. So there are a number of places around the globe where at the very last stage, when dinosaurs and other organisms died, you have a boundary or a layer that has anomalously high levels of iridium. So you just look all along. You will find a number of places where you have high amounts of iridium all over. So one of the theories that started in 1980 was that an asteroid hit Central America, Mexico, in a place known as the Yucatan Peninsula. And very shortly afterwards, another theory was floated. So here, in fact, here, you can see this is the place where the asteroid is believed to have hit. In India itself, we have another meteorite crater, which is found in Maharashtra, which is known as the Lona crater. So craters are not very common, but they are there on Earth. Most of the time, the craters have got filled in. But this is the Indian crater, which is not that old as the one that killed the dinosaurs, but it's very good. And if ever you get a chance, you should have a look at the Lona crater. There's a lake in between and a crater all around. So coming back to two theories, one is the asteroid and the other is volcanic eruptions. Now, volcanic eruptions is actually very of great interest to us for the simple reasons that these volcanics are our own Deccan basalt. So that's interesting, interesting theory that you have two theories, one the asteroid and the other is the volcanic eruptions that took place in India during the end Cretaceous. Yeah. But now it is actually believed that it is more than possible that instead of the volcanic eruption theory, the asteroid theory has gained ground. And this is the next slide is very, very interesting and important. It is interesting because it actually records maybe the impact of the asteroid and its effect on life in a certain locality. So let me just tell you, because this is very, very recent, 2-3 years, and this data is very exciting. So this is the place where the asteroid hit. And there's a locality in America, in the state of North Dakota, known as Tanis, right here. And this locality is important because it has tiny droplets of silica known as spherules that are the fallout of asteroids. So not only do you get evidence that you have asteroids, but these are found along with fish. These are fish. And these small spherules are found all over. And not only that, you have, it's a bed which is all jumbled up. You have a leg of a dinosaur, you have fish, you have turtles, all jumbled up. And it is believed that this locality represents one of the many localities where you get evidence of the asteroid and its effect on biota. This is one of the persons who has worked on this locality and brought it to public notice. So this is about dinosaurs. The next point that, the next topic that I'm going to be telling you is slightly different. This is about the movement of, about 88 million years ago, India was next to Madagascar. Look very carefully here. This is Africa. This is Madagascar. 88 million years ago, India was not next to Asia, but it was next to Madagascar. Suddenly, it broke free from Madagascar and started traveling northwards. This is 80 million, 70 million, 60 million, 55 million. Around 50 million years, it crashed into Asia. And the Himalayas that you see are the result of the collision of India into Asia. So this is a very, very interesting event. It's, as someone has called it, the greatest show on earth, the collision of India with Asia. So we have studied this to some extent, and one of the problems was that what was life like when India was drifting from Madagascar to Asia. And I would like to show you some photographs. This is what life was like. This is a painting. This is a painting done by Professor Rajiv Patnaik, who will be making a presentation in this webinar series. This is his painting. So as you can see, 54 million years ago, when after India had separated from Madagascar, you had lush forests of sal trees with lot of primates, horse-like creatures, some creatures that have become extinct, hyenas, hyenodontids, rabbits, sheep-like organisms, and a number of other organisms that tapirs, crocodiles, fish. So this is what India was like 54 million years ago. But there's a very special addition to this, that some of the trees gave rise to a resinous substance known as amber. So amber is basically a resin, and in this resin that we have studied, and my colleagues are studying in the Birbal Sahni Institute, you find very, very interesting material. Just look at this beautifully preserved spider. This is a beautifully preserved spider in a resin. Not only do you get the spider, but you also get its webs. So this is from India. This is from Gujarat. You can see how well preserved it is. This is a picture I've already shown you, so I won't not show you again. But you have, as I said, flowers. So you have a number of flowers preserved. So it is like looking at the ancient past, and then you can see the modern day forms that exist. So these are flowers preserved in amber. And obviously, there are insects, beautifully preserved insects, as you can see. Each detail is there. It looks as if it is a recent insect, but it is 54 million years old. Just look at the antenna. Each hair is so well preserved. These are the eyes. You can see the eyes. Each eye is so well preserved. So this is really a remarkable and beautiful find. So there are many ways of studying this. There are modern ways, and modern ways have been used. This is a flower. Mind you, this is, as I said, a 54 million year old flower. And you can study this in a various ways by using special X-rays. Not only that, these special sophisticated instruments can help you look inside the flower. So this is the same flower, but you can actually look inside it. And so you can reconstruct the flower that lived so many million years ago. So it is really a great achievement of science that you have so many ways of reconstructing the past. So this is moss. This is a moss from the same Cambe Basin, which is again the same age. And one very interesting thing, you have even a bird feather. So if you look very carefully, this is a picture, but the bird feather is here. If you look at this line and look very carefully, you will find that this is a bird feather. Now, birds are very rare in the fossil record, and this feather is preserved again in resin. So many, many exciting things are preserved, and that's the beauty of this. So here we have various ways of looking at it. This is a pollen grain of that time. You can color it, look at it so beautifully. Or you can use something known as confocal laser scanning microscopy. Just look at that. This is a fossil, mind you, and you can get a three-dimensional image and then look at all aspects of this. So science has progressed a lot so that you can actually do a number of things with fossils. And the last part of my talk is on the origin of whales. Professor Sunil Bajpai will be giving a talk. One of the best collections of whales, if you ever want to look at primitive whales, is in his lab in IIT Roorkee. One of the forms that he and other people have described is a form known as Indo-Hyas. You may be surprised to know, those of you who are students, that whales that now live in the ocean were actually land living animals the size of a small sheep or goat. They were completely terrestrial. And from a terrestrial animal, like a sheep, or they became gradually modified into these large, gigantic whales that you see swimming in the ocean. So this is a story that started in India and Pakistan. The oldest ancestors are found in India and Pakistan around 52 or 53 million years old ago. And the story of how a land animal became a marine animal is itself very interesting. So this is what whales looked like when they were just evolving. They were nothing like modern day whales. They had they were four-footed. They had all the limbs. They had a large tooth rows, and they were very, very, you can say, intermediate between land living animals and true whales. So a number of whales have been found in India and Pakistan. This is the animal that gave, the land living animal that gave rise to the whales. And then you have a number of whales. You can see they're four-footed. They don't look like modern whales. But gradually they lost the hind limbs, and then they lost the forelimbs, and they became more like living whales. Uh, so this is what the skeleton of an early whale looks like. It doesn't look like a whale at all. So, but it is a whale. It's a whale, and it's a four-footed whale. So that's interesting. So they mainly fed on fish, and it's interesting to know that these days, so they spread after evolving in India and Pakistan. They spread across the globe, and these days you find them in the Indian Ocean, but you find them also in the Brahmaputra, and you find them in the Ganges. So this is a Gangetic dolphin. This is a whale that is found in the Ganges. So this is just to tell you that the whales originated in India, and now they're trying to swim back to the Ganga. Thank you very much for listening to this talk. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your
Yeah.
valuable lecture. Now, if anybody has any queries,
Let me see if I can go back. How do I go back?
I just want to ask one thing actually.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Sir, this is S.K. Shrivastava from Nagaland University.
Okay.
What you said about this iridium event, especially about the KT boundary.
Yes.
My question is that there are two theories for extinction of dinosaurs.
Yes.
One is the iridium event, and the
Yes.
second is the volcanic eruption.
Yes, exactly.
Could it be the cumulative effect of that, or only one reason is responsible for the extinction of dinosaurs?
No. There's you. So let me get it clear. In science, you cannot be sure. So let me modify what I said. So there's the asteroid, the hypothesis. There's the volcanic hypothesis, but there's also a combined compromise hypothesis that says that the asteroid triggered the volcanic eruptions. Okay, something known as a double whammy. But the point is, so people who support the asteroid impact, they actually talk about how rapid the extinction was, and they point out the various places where you get iridium, and the iridium layer always happens to be at the great extinction level. That is, dinosaurs and 70% of all life became extinct right at the same point where you have the iridium layer. Above the iridium layer, you don't get any dinosaurs, you don't get any of the life that existed in the Mesozoic. So the iridium layer is a pointer to the fact, because iridium is rare on Earth.
Yeah.
As far as the volcanic hypothesis is concerned, the people who support it say that there was a gradual deterioration of climate. But I would want to tell you one thing: whether you support asteroid or whether you support the volcanic theory, both theories have one thing in common, that the food web cycle was destroyed. So in an asteroid impact, the rock evaporates, the water evaporates, and all this material goes into the stratosphere. It blocks the solar radiation for some time. And in a volcanic eruption also, the ejecta, it also blocks the solar radiation.
That's true.
So basically what actually happens, whether you believe in asteroid or whether you believe in volcanic, the point is that if there's blockage of the solar radiation for about 2 or 3 weeks, the plants will die. And those that eat the plants will die. Then those who feed on the animals that feed on the plants will die. So basically, in the end result was that the food cycle or the food chain was disturbed either by asteroid or by volcanic activity, because the clouds blocked solar radiation.
Yeah, that is true.
Okay.
Oh, that was my point actually, sir. Because what I was thinking, maybe the food chain was disturbed. That could have also been one of the major reasons for disruption of those things.
Yeah, no, that is the reason. That
Yeah.
is the reason.
Sir, one more small
Whether you believe in one or
one
you
is-
believe in the other.
one small request. Can we
Yes.
have this slides what we have presented?
Yeah, it's there. It's for everybody. I think they were recording it.
Okay, I'll request our coordinator to, if possible, to share it with us.
Yeah, I think they were recording it. I don't know how to go back.
Thank you, sir.
Sir,
Okay.
I have a little bit of maybe stupid question. I don't know. In geological history,
Yes.
how we human being will be fossilized, and how that can be, it will be kept as a record in a fossil. We
No,
human
that's
beings.
absolutely possible. Why should we be an exception? We are just like any other organism. So-
That's why I'm asking that thing, because most developed species is dinosaur. To extinct point of time, and we are now the developed species in the earth. And how you actually think will be fossilized in the earth history?
We are already fossilized. The early part of humans are found as fossils. So there are many humans like Homo erectus, Australopithecus. There are a number of fossils already that have occurred. In fact, the origin of humans is about 4 to 5 million years. So you find fossils of human-like beings that are fossilized. So why should we be an exception? We will also be fossilized. There's no doubt.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, thank you, sir.
There's no doubt in my mind.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Nice to see Nigam, sir, after a long time. Hello, sir.
Hello.
How are you?
Fine.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello, sir. I have a question.
Yes.
So we see dinosaurs are portrayed in brownish dull color sometimes, and sometimes portrayed in bright images. So is there any way to know the true color of the dinosaur from the fossil record? Does it preserve the information?
Let me tell you what our knowledge is. So many dinosaurs had feathers. So the dinosaur skin is very poorly preserved. So it is not possible to detect the pigment which is known as melanin. But in those fossils, dinosaurs which had feathers, it is possible to look at colored pigments. The colored pigment is known as melanin. So if you go by modern science, it is possible actually to identify that yes, there was color. Whether the skin had color, it's not possible, because skin is very poorly preserved. It's usually preserved as an impression. But feathers are preserved. And in feathers, it's possible to tell that they were colored, because there's the presence of melanin, which can be detected.
I think no
All done?
queries. Thank you, sir. So we are honored that you have accepted our invitation to deliver this
It's my
lecture.
pleasure.
Department of Applied Geology is grateful to you.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure.
May I now request Dr. Shukla, Sudhir Shukla, to share few words.
Oh, first of all, I think I must profusely thank Professor Sahni, who is my teacher also, for his very elaborate and very interesting lecture too.
Yes.
Especially that will be too interesting to the students who are coming up. And then, as I see that we have to really, from behalf of PSI, we have to thank Professor Jitin Hazarika, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Dibrugarh University, Professor Datta, who is the Dean of Earth Sciences and Energy, Professor D. Bhuiya, who is the HOD, and of course, Kalpana, you are there. You have been the real force behind this. You have been the main coordinator. So all of you, you have done really a very great job, and it's a very elaborate preparation for 1 week long. In fact, instead of Fossil Day, we are celebrating Fossil Week because of the enormity of material and presenters in our country. We are very fortunate that we have so many people who are very enthusiastically coming up. So really, I don't think Professor MP Singh is there, but on behalf of PSI, I really give my compliments to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Shukla. May I now request Dr. Diganta Bhuiya, HOD, Department of Applied Geology, to propose formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, Professor Dagakulita. First of all, I'd like to thank Professor Jitin Hazarika, Vice Chancellor, Dibrugarh University, for inaugurating this lecture series, that is a webinar. In spite of his very busy schedule. Next, I'd like to thank Professor Ashok Sahni sir for delivering the first lecture on Indian fossils, their beauty and value. Thank you very much, sir, for accepting our invitation to deliver this lecture. Then I'd like to thank Dr. Sudhir Shukla, Vice President of Paleontological Society of India, for allowing us to arrange this webinar in association with them. Then I would like to thank Professor M.N. Datta, Dean, Faculty of Art Sciences and Energy, Dibrugarh University, for constantly encouraging us to hold this webinar. Then I'd like to thank Professor Kalpana Dakakolita, the coordinator of the Northeast chapter of Paleontological Society of India, who is actually the mastermind of this webinar, who planned and materialized this webinar. Thank you very much, madam. Then I would also like to thank organizing secretaries from different educational institutes of Northeast India for their constant support to organize this webinar. And lastly, I would like to thank all the participants, students, research scholars, whose participation in this webinar makes this webinar a successful one. Thank you very much.
All of we wish good health for Sani sir.
Thank you.
Sir,
Thank you
stay
very
well.
much. Thank you very
Stay
much.
well,
Thank you.
stay healthy
Thank you. Thank
for
you.
us. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. And we wish that
How are you?
people will join for other lectures also.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I think from tomorrow there are other lectures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks a
And
lot.
the same link has been kept for all the lectures.
All the lectures. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.